Today, we are diving into one of Edgar Allan Poe's most disturbing stories, Berenice. And trust me, this is way more than just your typical Gothic tale. We're going to be dissecting a case of pure psychological horror, an obsession so powerful it completely consumes a man of mind and leads to something truly unspeakable. But to really understand this story, we're actually going to start at the very end. So just imagine this scene. This is where it all leads. A small box falls, it bursts open, and inside, you've got some dental tools and 32 teeth. Yeah, it's a moment of absolute ghastly horror, but it's also the final clue in a really dark puzzle that we are about to solve together. Exactly. That's the big question, right? How on earth does a story end up in a place like that? Well, to figure it out, we have to hit rewind. We're going to step into the very fragmented mind of our narrator, a man named Egaeus, and piece together the mystery of what really happened. Okay, so let's set the scene. It's midnight. Our narrator, Egaeus, is sitting all alone in his family's library. And he feels weird, like he's just surfaced from some kind of chaotic, terrible dream. He's struggling to grab onto a memory that feels incredibly important, but also terrifyingly vague. He is completely lost in a fog. You know that feeling when a nightmare just clings to you? That's where he's at. He remembers a feeling of horror, made even worse because he can't pin down the details. He hears the faint echo of a woman's shriek. And he has this gut feeling, this overwhelming certainty that he has done something, but he has no idea what it was. And that's when he notices it. This little box on the table. He knows it's his, but he doesn't know why it's there, and looking at it just fills him with dread. So to solve this mystery, we have to get inside our narrator's head. This isn't your classic ghost story. There's no phantom, there's no monster from beyond the grave. The key to all of this is Egaeus himself. The real horror in Berenice comes from the strange, terrifying way his own mind works. Egaeus gives us a little backstory. He says he was born and raised in these massive, dreary, ancient family halls. He calls his family a race of visionaries, which is an interesting way to put it. The bottom line is he was a sickly kid, totally isolated, and spent his entire youth just buried in books, right there in that same library. As he got older, all that daydreaming, it twisted into something much, much more severe. He calls it a monomania, and he says it took over his life. Now, this is the most important part. Look at how he defines it. It's not just obsession. It's a morbid irritability of his mind's ability to pay attention. This right here, this is the engine that's going to drive all the horror in our story. He actually breaks it down for us, which is really helpful. Think about how a normal person daydreams. You see something, your mind wanders off on 1,000 tangents, and pretty soon you forget what you were even thinking about in the first place. Egaeus, he's the complete opposite. He'll fixate on something totally trivial, like a shadow on the floor or a word in a book, and his mind doesn't wander at all. Instead, it just drills down. It focuses so intensely that the object becomes the only thing in his entire world. So, into this world of gloomy fixation walks Berenice. She's his cousin, and she is everything he's not. She's graceful, agile, just bursting with energy. But a tragic change, a horrible disease, is about to completely overwhelm her, and it's going to set the stage for an absolute disaster. I mean, the change is just devastating. Before her illness, Berenice was the picture of life. But then this disease hits. It's a kind of epilepsy that throws her into these trance-like states, and it just wrecks her. She wastes away, her personality vanishes, even her signature jet black hair turns this weird, vivid yellow. She becomes a total ruin of the person she once was. And this quote, this tells you everything you need to know about Egaeus' relationship with her. He never loved her, not in the way we think of love. To him, she was never a person. She was a concept, a puzzle to be analyzed. He says his passions were always of the mind. So as her body starts to decay, his cold, analytical focus on her only gets stronger. Okay, here we go. This is the turning point. This is the moment where Berenice's physical sickness and Egaeus's mental sickness are about to crash into each other. He's sitting alone in the library, and everything is about to change forever. Berenice just appears before him. She's like a ghost. She doesn't say anything, and neither does he. He's just frozen watching her. He stares at her wasted, thin face, and then her pale lips part in this strange, almost meaningless smile. And there they are. In this wreck of a human being, there's one feature that seems perfectly, miraculously untouched by the disease: her teeth. They're slowly revealed to him, and you can just feel it, can't you? In this moment, his terrible illness has just found its target. And that's it. That is the frivolous object his monomania has been waiting for. The teeth become his singular, all-consuming obsession. It is all he can think about, all he can see. They become, as he puts it, the essence of his mental life. Now, his broken mind starts to perform these awful mental gymnastics. It twists this obsession into a deranged kind of logic. He becomes convinced that the teeth themselves have some kind of sentient power. And this is his idée fixe, the fixed, unshakable belief that will destroy everything. He thinks, if I can just possess her teeth, I'll get my own sanity back. I'll finally be at peace. It's totally mad, but to him, it's the only thing that makes sense. Which brings us right back to where we started. Midnight, in the library. Egaeus is trapped in that fog, wrestling with a horrible, half-formed memory, that shriek, the feeling that he's done something terrible. Well, the final pieces of the puzzle are about to snap into place. A servant comes in just pale with terror, and he whispers this horrifying story. First, there was a scream out in the night. The household searched, and they found Berenice's grave, which had only just been filled, had been violently dug up. Her body was there, disfigured. But here's the thing. She wasn't dead. She was still breathing, still alive. The servant doesn't even have to say it. He just points. First to Egaeus's clothes, which are covered in mud and clotted with blood. Then he points to a spade leaning against the wall. Egaeus glances down at his own hand and sees the fresh imprints of fingernails dug deep into his skin. That vague memory is becoming crystal clear now, and it is an absolute nightmare. With a shriek, Egaeus leaps for that small box on the table. But in his trembling hands, it slips, it falls to the floor, and it bursts open. And rolling out across the floorboards are a few dental instruments and 32 small, white, ivory-looking substances. The deed is done. So in the end, Poe gives us no ghost, no demon. The monster in Berenice is a disease, a mental condition that fixates on a trivial detail and drives a man to do something horrific. And it forces us to ask ourselves a pretty tough question. What's actually more terrifying? Some specter from another world, or the simple, awful realization of what the human mind is capable of when it breaks?